Hey everybody, good evening. Good evening, good evening. Happy Tuesday. Good evening, everyone. So excited to see you guys on. Once you come on, like, share, tag, let me know that you are on. Hey everybody, good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Tuesday. Happy to be on tonight. Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Say hey when you come in. I see my sis on. Hey, Maya. Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Like, share, tag. So excited for tonight's conversation. Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome in. Welcome in. As you are coming in, need you to like, share, and tag. We're going to have a great conversation on tonight. Grab your girlfriends, your sisters, your aunties, your cousins. Tell them we are on live. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to give it one more minute just to get a few more people on. Go ahead and like, tag, and share. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Like, tag, and share. Let us know that you are on. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. We are going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everybody. I am so excited to be on. So excited to be on tonight. And I have two special guests that are on with me tonight. I'm so excited. As you are coming in, go ahead and like, tag, share, say hello. Let us know that you are on. I want to bring my guests on, and I am so excited to have this needed conversation. We know March is International Women's Month, and so I wanted to get some of my girlfriends together and have really a real heart-to-heart conversation about feelings, fitting in, and friendship. So first, I'm going to bring my sister. I have known her pretty much my entire life since we were knee-high with long jean skirts and Bobby socks. So I want to introduce to you all First Lady Javita Gay. So excited to have my sister on. Yes. And I wanted to also have my big sister on, First Lady, entrepreneur, real estate guru, business owner, First Lady Doris Carlton. So happy to have my sisters on tonight. It's gonna be a great conversation, y'all. I might not have too much to say, but they're gonna get it popping tonight. So yes, so I wanted to really take this opportunity. I wanted to do this live. You know, if you follow the podcast so far, it is really talking about divorce and how to go through a divorce with grace, the healing journey. I've had so many different guests on talking about their healing journey and what is needed when you go through a divorce. And I wanted to kind of step out of that a little bit tonight, still in the same realm, to really talk about friendships. Lady Carlton has a saying that I love. She talks about it all the time, and it's kind of getting away from the whole mean girls cliques and the mean girls attitudes, and I love that. And so I really want to have a conversation tonight about female friendships and what is considered healthy, what is considered not healthy, and honestly, why can't women just get along and be happy, genuinely happy for one another? Speaking from my own experience, if we want to bring in divorce, I in the wake of my divorce, I kind of had this epiphany, this eye-opening, that there were so many women who I thought was in my corner, only to find out that they were not in my corner. And that was something that was very difficult. In addition to going through the divorce, but not having that solid support system that I assumed that I had. And in talking to a lot of other women who have gone through a divorce, one of the biggest things that they say to me is that going through a divorce, it is a lonely experience. It is a lonely journey. And I find that so many times as women, when we go through very difficult situations in our life, that is when we find out who our real friends are. And I think it's so important to, number one, understand that everyone is not meant to be your friend, and that there are some individuals who you should divorce yourself from, and kind of what that situation looks like. So I want to kind of open the floor, ladies, and want to ask you the question, what is friendship? What is friendship to you? How would you define that?
Well, I don't know who you want to go first.
Whoever, go ahead.
Well, good evening, sis, and my other sis. Thank you, sis Kia, for first of all for allowing me to be a part of this phenomenal topic, because it is definitely, the conversation definitely is needed. And when I think about friendship, a song comes to mind, "Count on Me Through Thick and Thin." When friendship, who's that by? CeCe Winans and was it Whitney Houston, I believe? They sung the song. And so when I think of friendship, I think of someone who genuinely loves you, someone that's genuinely there for you no matter what, the good, the bad, the ugly, because that to me is what makes a friendship. Someone who is loyal, someone who is trustworthy, someone who is honest, someone who is also upfront and will tell you the truth, whether sometimes we want to accept it or not. But that is a true friendship. And I'm going to leave, the conversation. I'm not going to talk all over the place, but go ahead, sis.
So again, just like Lady J, I want to just say thank you to Kia for reaching out. It's funny because, and I'll be totally transparent, when Kia texted me, I was a little hesitant, but because I've gone through such a change and season in friendship and even what I think friendship is, I literally shut down pretty much with all friendships for the past over a year, because I had to do some self reflecting, um, pointing the finger at the enemy, the inner me. We talk about the enemy, but the inner me. And I had to really ask myself some hard questions. I had continued to feel like I was being hurt by the same types of friends, quote unquote, or people I had defined as friends. I felt like I had been continually put in a position of disappointment, um, where I felt disappointed, where I felt that, and again, this is me, where I felt I was more loyal than they were. Um, And so it's interesting because through my year and a half of just kind of hibernation and self-reflection and really looking to God to be my friend, not calling anybody but God, God began to show me some things about myself. Um, and I'll say that God has truly connected me with some women of God who have carried me through the season. And I'll read this quote because ironically enough, I said I wasn't doing no more girl circles. I wasn't doing no more girl trips. I didn't want to go nowhere with no women. And a dear friend who I've known for years was celebrating a huge milestone birthday and asked me to come. And not only did she ask me to come, but she asked me to have words. And I was like, Lord Jesus, you have a sense of humor. And so in that, she asked me to talk about friendship and talk about God having a sense of humor. And so one of the things that I found was a quote. I don't know who this quote is by, but it resonated so profoundly to me because it said, real friends are the ones you can count on no matter what. The ones who go into the forest to find you and bring you home. And real friends never have to tell you that they're your friends. And that was just really powerful for me because seasons change. And what I feel like I attempted to do was carry relationships through every season when God doesn't always intend for us to carry the same people through each season. And it's not that it's anything bad with them or not anything bad with us or we've outgrown them or it's nothing negative necessarily, but just that it was never God's intention. So that's kind of been my place of revelation with myself and with the topic of what is true friendship and what does relationship look like? Because it looks different in every season of our lives.
Yeah, I love that quote. There's a word actually that the both of you used, and I have heard this word a lot. And that is this idea of loyalty. There are many people who feel as though I'm loyal, and they use that word so flippantly. But when really difficult situations happen, when you find yourself in this friendship, in this, we're sisters, however your term of endearment is, when things become difficult, when people make decisions that maybe you do not agree with, then where is the loyalty there? So what experience, if any, have you guys had with that word? How would you define what it means to be loyal? Because we do hear that. Oh, I'm loyal, I'm a loyal friend, I'm loyal to this person. But really, sometimes people's actions prove that you aren't that loyal to the person. You're only loyal when the situation benefits you or when it is comfortable for you, when there's no anything to put you guys at odds.
I definitely can. Ooh, many stories I could share with that word being used and tossed around loosely, loyal. And a lot of people don't really understand what that word really means. And loyal to me means more than just, oh, she's my friend and I'm there for her, but I'm also am supportive. I can share with you that I think one of the toughest times, and probably, yeah, one of the hardest times was in 2020 when I lost my father, May of 2020, and it was during COVID. And I could almost count on two hands about how many of my friends were actually there for me, that I know for a fact that I had been there for them during their times. They may not have necessarily lost their parents, but they may have been sick or they may have lost a loved one of some sort, but I was there. But not to receive a call, a text, a card, a flower, and everybody that knows me and my family, they know that we're a close family, and that my father and my mother, they both mean the world to me. But to have lost a father and then to think that the ones you thought would have been there for you weren't there for you, it really, and the type of friend that I don't hold stuff against anyone. I don't So, oh, well, you did this to me, so I'm going to do this back to you. I've never been that type of friend. I've always given people the benefit of the doubts, or I try to look at things from a different perspective. That's always been the story of my life. And I would do an inner me reflection, like Lady Carlson said. So I would look at myself and say, well, Javita, are you a good friend? And then I would sit back and say, yeah, I think I've been a good friend. I'm not 100% perfect, but I do believe that if I can give it, it should be at least be reciprocated. If you know that I was there for you, how come you couldn't be there for me during the most hurtful times of my life? And that was, yes, when I lost my father. I miscarried in 2018. That was another heartbreaking moment for my husband and I. We went through that, and even just recently, I had two major surgeries in one day. Two major surgeries, and I was, not to say I expect a lot out of people, because I don't anymore. I've been hurt so much to the point that what's the word? I don't want to say I'm numb. Like, hey, nothing surprises me anymore. I don't expect too much out of people, because people are going to be people, right? They're going to change towards you, like was stated earlier, season and times. But to know that I just had surgery, you can even say, hey, praying for you. Thank God that you came out. All is well, because they know the type of person that I am. I would never do that to them. But it makes you set back, take a moment and look back and say, okay, well, are they really my friend? Were they ever really my friend? Were they ever really loyal? Were they ever supportive? What is the term friend to some people? Some people just want to be have that one-sided friendship. You do for them, you compliment them, you support them, you share and post and like all you want about them. But when it comes to you, they're silent. They're nowhere in sight. They're not supportive. And then the moment you're vocal about it, the moment you say something to them about it, it's a problem. So somewhere deep down, it's like, okay, I don't think you was feeling me as much as I thought you was feeling me. I don't think you really love me like you said you really love me, or you truly are their friend. But a friend to me is both ways. It goes both ways. It's just like a relationship in a marriage, or even I tell our youth, it's a relationship with God. You say I am a friend of God and God is my friend. Well, how do you become friends? You got to build that relationship. You got to build that communication. You got to stay connected. Hey, you're not going to do everything that God likes, but as long as you stay communicating with him and you go to him and say, hey, God, I'm sorry. I messed up. I apologize. You still love me though, right, God? And he is God and he's going to forgive us. But sometimes we just hold grudges. We hold stuff. The moment somebody do something, a friend does something that we don't like, we hold it. But that's not a true friend. But again, my past experiences with friends, I have learned to take a step back and really truly look at myself and answer those questions. Well, have you been there for them? Yes. Have you talked bad about them? No. Because I'm not that type of person, because I do believe this. What you say, people will go back and use it against you and say what she said. And then you know what else I learned? People will also lie on you to mess up a friendship, to break up a friendship because of jealousy. They hate the connection. They hate the relationship. They hate it. So people will make up a lie and say, well, girl, she said this about you. And, if you're a good enough friend, you should know me well enough to know, oh, that ain't Javita's style. Javita not going to say that, but I digress.
That's so good, Javita, what you shared. It's funny, we went through an emotional intelligence lesson on Sunday with our leadership. And one of the things that the presenter, who was so amazing, said was that recently someone came to a close friend of hers who she's known for years and said something about her. And the friend immediately stopped the person and said, that's not even her style. I don't know where you got your information. So I think that when we talk about loyalty, Kia, that's the problem, especially with women of God. that probably has been most hurtful for me in the 18 years we've done ministry is that the very people you think should know you and should know better will listen to foolishness for whatever reason and will not confront it, will not speak what they know. And I just think that it's a part of our culture where there's something that's been lost when it comes to us being loyal. We aren't loyal. Most of us, including myself, are very self-seeking. We want what we want. We feel entitled to what we want. We should have. And myself, like Javita, I have attempted to always remain loyal. And I even told Kia this when she called me. I said, loyal, I am loyal to a fault. Like I have been a part of circles of women, which I hate being a part of, but I've been a part of circles of women where women could come to me and I felt could confide in me. And I would never speak of what they said to the circle, even though many times when I was a part of the circle, I was the one who was being treated as if I was the outcast. I wasn't in the party. You know how you invited, but you really probably were the last one invited. And so I began to really have to examine myself. And I tell you just how good God is with loyalty, because like I said, I told Kia, I had to come to a self-revelation, realization about me that I'm loyal to people who weren't loyal to me. And I had to come to myself by myself and say, okay, why do you feel the need to continue to uphold and protect these people who think nothing of lying on you, betraying you, backbiting you, and then pretending like they're for you. And it really I don't know that we ever evolve in relationship, but I think that God really sends us through certain things that are heartbreaking. I know for me, let me speak for me. There are certain times when I knew I should not be a part of something. I would leave feeling sick. Now I'm saved, but I love having a good time. But there were times when I felt like it was an entanglement. And I felt like I left and I could not truly be who I was. I had to downplay who I was so that they didn't think I thought I was more than what I was. If there was anything worthy of celebration in my area of the world, I was trying to dim it or not even talk about it because I didn't want to feel like perhaps I was trying to take the shine. And I'll share this because it's something that's really helped me kind of address friendships and relationships. And my husband said this to me many years ago, and I think he's even preached it a few times, but he said, true friends will confirm, confront, and celebrate you. And I found that many times people who I thought were in my corner were always the last to the party for my celebration if they showed up. And that's always a sign for me. There are certain triggers I have now, and I'm like, Lord, help me, because there's certain things that people say that people had said in the past, like, oh, First Lady, I got your back. You know, wait a minute, what does that mean? Because let me just be honest. I have never been told that by anyone who did not have my back. It was never pure. It was never authentic. When I began to think about the people who had told me that, they didn't have my back. They didn't have my back. And so I began to really say, okay, well, why are people telling me they got my back and they don't? And so just being cognizant of, even with myself, why do I continue to attract the same type of people? And I had to go all the way back to even my childhood in my male relationships. My husband was the first man that I ever dated who was so different that my mother, the first time she met him, was like, I don't even know what you're doing with him because you ain't going to do nothing but hurt him because he's a nice guy. And so I had to do some self-examining because I said, okay, wow, I tend to always be loyal to a fault. I'm loyal to people who aren't loyal to me. I tend to get entangled with people and see the goodness in them, but they can't see it in me. Um, I feel like I definitely, with Lady Javita, go all out. Like I'm sold out. If I'm your friend, you will know it. And even if I'm not, you probably think I am, because that's just who I am. And I say this because I think that as women, and I want you to chime in, Kia, as women, I think that, and I've seen this through my daughters, and I've really had to try to kill it at the root. It starts at a very young age where we get into this competitiveness, and this pettiness and this jealousy. And recently, even with the girls, and they're very much involved with sports and different things, there's such a competitive edge. And yeah, that's good, but at the same time, we need to make sure that God stays at the forefront of who we are and what we are, and that we're not taking glory for ourselves. And so with that, I would just put out there to the audience and to each of us, really hone in on who confirms you, who can celebrate you, who's comfortable with confronting you. I'm not perfect. None of us are, but who's comfortable with confronting you in such a way that it's a loving way, and you don't hear it because they told everybody else what they didn't like, and now it's coming back to you. So those are the three things that now in this hour, this season, I'm very, very sensitive to, who can celebrate me and it seems pure and authentic. Who's there to confirm me in my darkest hour, as Javita said, when I think I'm on my deathbed or when I'm going through something, who is really there to help pray me through? So just being more sensitive as women to not be so loyal to people who have no loyalty to us.
Listen, I love that y'all in my business. Like, I love this for me. And even, and like I said, Lady Javita, I've known her since we was tots. And First Lady Doris, I've known her maybe 10 years, or our daughters are pretty much the same age, so 15, 16 years. And what you just said about going back to your childhood, figuring out why are you trying to hold on so tightly to people who are showing you, it's kind of like that saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. And in going through my divorce, which was one of the hardest things that I've been through in my life, with the exception of losing my mother, was very hard to take a step back on so many different levels. And it was going through both spiritual and natural therapy that came up, what you just said, Lady Doris, that why are you, Nakia, constantly choosing people, wanting to be close, wanting to be in connection with people, number one, that do not see you as they don't value you. Like they could care less. Like they could care whether I talk to you or I don't talk to you. They only tolerate you and they don't love you. Like, why are you trying to so hard? And I had to take accountability to say, yes, it is them, but Nakia, it is also you. Like, you are continuously being in relationships with women who you cannot be your authentic self with. And if you cannot be your authentic self, the relationship is doomed to fail anyway, because you do not feel comfortable with being who you are. And I shared this when I had the privilege of speaking for Women's Day at Lady Javita's church, that God kind of showed me myself in that I was becoming a chameleon, in that I was changing and being all different ways to fit people that I wanted to accept me. I wanted them to like me. I wanted them to affirm me. I wanted them to say, listen, we understand what you're going through, but we're still there for you. We're still in your corner. We still got your back. We're still friends. We're still family. We're still tight. Whatever the relationship was, when constantly they were showing me, I could really care less. I could take you or I could leave you. And so it really, through therapy, really helped me to understand that a relationship that is not reciprocal is not a relationship. And as you said, and we're going to talk about this more, that's a lesson that I have been teaching my daughters, especially my oldest daughter, because in 2 years, she's going to be off to college. And I have told her so many times in the last 2 to 3 years, if you're doing all the work, if you're the one calling all the time, you're texting all the time, you're not in a relationship. That's not a relationship, because a relationship goes both ways. Now, again, we all women, we are mothers, some of us are wives, some of us are business owners, entrepreneurs, etc., etc. And we live busy lives. So I'm not trying to diminish that or say you got to be at somebody's beck and call, but there's a certain understanding in a relationship. I have some friends that I don't talk to all the time, but when I do talk to them, it's like we're not talking, because there's an understanding between the both of us. She's busy, I'm busy. I don't take offense if I call her or text her and she doesn't get back with me. I know she will. And so that's different than being in a relationship with people who, honestly, I don't care whether I talk to you. I don't care whether you're in my life or not. And so for me, you talked about it, Lady Doris, and going back to your childhood, that was something I had to do. And there was a epiphany that God gave me that I had through therapy, that in losing my mother, I was trying to fill that void with other women who did not have the capacity to give me what it was that my mother gave me. I was hauled down looking for a mother. I was looking for a woman to come in and nurture and give me unconditional love and give me support. All those things that I got from my mother. And you said it, Lady Doris, instead of looking to God and telling God and asking God, God, fill this void, I was trying to fill it with people, with women who, again, didn't have the capacity to give me what I needed, because there was something lacking in them. And a lot of times women can't support other women. They can't genuinely be there for them because there's insecurity. There's some sort of competition. There is some sort of, I'm trying to one up you. I'm trying to prove that I'm better than you. Or I'm trying to intimidate you because I don't like what you're doing. So I'm going to let you know that I don't approve. Whatever the reason is. But it is those things that hinder and keep relationships from being genuine. And so then I had to come to a place of accountability and say, and this happened through therapy, through prayer, to say, why am I holding on to women who could care less? What is that doing for me? It's hurting me. It's not giving me what I want. It's not giving me fulfillment. Why am I trying to, as Lady Doris said, why am I trying to dim my light to fit in? Why am I changing who God ultimately created me to be to make someone else feel good about themselves? And I think that we have to get to a place where we say, and it doesn't have to be this whole, you're a hater and you are this and that. But it needs to come to an honest place where you can say, you know what? This season, that season of my life that you are a part of is over. And I can say that and not wish you anything bad. I hope you succeed. I hope you do well. I hope God blesses you. But that is maturity. That's having compassion. Because a lot of times, and I have found this, and you guys can speak on it, like I said, when I was going through my divorce, and that was a very difficult time, and like you said, Lady Javita, I can count maybe on one hand how many women who were really there for me. But I had a lot of women say, well, I went through worse things than you went through. Why can't you? Why can't you? There was no compassion. There was no empathy. There was nothing that you would think would come from a woman first, to say, sis, like, I feel you. I can sense that was a hard decision. I can sense that you are heartbroken. Let me come and put my arms around you and support you. I didn't get that. And so then again, like you said, Lady Doris, then you start taking inventory of saying, why are these relationships so important? Why am I trying to cling on to these and hold on to these people who have showed me who they are? And the Bible tells us that the arm of flesh will fail. A thing that my mom used to say is that out of the abundance of the heart, people speak. And people will always tell you and show you how they feel about you. Always, always.
That'll preach. That'll preach.
Listen, I'm over here like, girl, yes.
And pay attention, because I think for me, in my 50 plus years, that was my hardest thing to digest, is when I had people who had my best interest at heart, who I can honestly say warned me of certain individuals. I still was loyal to the individuals. I mean, you know, your mama, your grandmother, everybody warning you, and you still staying loyal. And it's almost like the story when they say the snake gets on the turtle's back and takes him across the river, and he's talking to him all the way over there, and finally gets him over. And when he gets him over, he bites him. He said, "You knew I was a snake when you let me." So I'll say, yeah, I mean, how do we navigate that? I think for me, I've kind of had a revelation where I believe each experience that I've gone through, I'm grateful for it. And I want to allow it to shine light so that those coming behind me, especially our daughters or even women in ministry, are more aware and are more sensitive. Because I think that sometimes, and I'm kind of switching things from a pastor's wife perspective, I think too often in the church, we know people ain't right, and we will allow entanglements to happen because we just don't want to say, oh, wait a minute, you know, we're fearful of saying something. But it reminds me, many years ago, I had to go through a Virtus training. I don't know if any of you have had kids in Catholic school, but it's called a Virtus training. And the Catholic Church conducts this training. And in the training, they have real life people telling you how they molested children, how they raped children. They're talking to priests who are now in jail. They are talking to real life predators on how they did it. And it was a week-long training. Many people dropped out. It was very emotional. One lady walked out day 2 and she was like, I just can't take it. But what was really a revelation for me is that here are the people talking and telling you what they experienced and telling you how to be aware and how to call it out. If you see something, say something. We've all heard that. And so that's kind of been my mantra and my motto lately, is that God, give me a holy boldness that, of course, with you leading me, but if I see something, sense something, say something. And there's a way to say something, but I think that too often we continue to let the venom, the people who mean us no good as women, continue to infiltrate and take advantage, I would say. And so I have just, and Lady Javita, please chime in. I have just become, through some really hard lessons, I have become so intolerant. And we talk about triggers. So now I have triggers. I have triggers if people say certain things, like I told you, like people like, I got your back. Well, wait a minute. Why do you have my back? Why do you need to have my back? You know what I'm saying? And then you have people who inevitably have heard things and bring it to you. And the thing that I love about women is that we talk, but I think that we need to be conscious, very conscious of what we're saying, because I think that the enemy definitely uses us in many ways to plant seeds of discord. And we try to camouflage it like, oh, I heard this. And no, pray before, as Lady Javita said, there's certain things that you couldn't bring to me about my husband. I know my husband too well. It's certain things you can't bring to me about my mom. I know my mom too well. And even if you brought it to me, I would be quick to tell you, wait a minute, hold up. What you're saying, okay, she might have said, but let me say this. She didn't mean it the way you are taking it. And maybe you need to go back to her and have a discussion. And I think that's what we're missing, especially just in our world and in our culture and in our churches, is that we have taken on a Real Housewives of wherever you live, you can add it. We've taken on a Real Housewives of Potomac attitude where we're ready to knock somebody out, cuss somebody out, do things that are not godly. And then, fast forward to the end and you find out, oh, that wasn't even what was said. That person didn't even know anything about it. So I think that just being more sensitive. And the other thing I would say about our relationships is just being keen and prayerful, because the enemy is shrewd. And when I say shrewd, I could talk for an hour about how shrewd the enemy is, because, and I'm sure Lady Javita and Kia, you've witnessed this with your mom being a first lady. There are people who wanted to be in my camp, but it was only to destroy the camp. There are people who wanted to use me as I'm forgetting the word, but my kids told me how, is it a beard? How people use a beard. And I was like, well, what's a beard?
Yes.
Yes. Was. And the Lord dropped that revelation on me. And he said, what you need to realize is there are people who will use you as their beard. They are using you to make themselves look better. But the end result is really to make you look bad. So many times people would come to me after certain situations and be like, oh, I thought something, and again, I go back to, if you see something, say something. There's a way for us as women of God to say something where it's not gossip, it's not underhanded. Say something to the person, take the person aside in private and say something. Say, I'm concerned. I just had this conversation with my kids today because something popped off at school. And I said, if you're concerned, stop talking about it with everybody but that person. Because if you're truly concerned, you're not going to do that. You're going to go to the person, and you're not going to go to them in front of people. You're going to go to them in humility and in love and say, look, I am concerned. This is not good, what I'm hearing, and let them then say what it is. So I think, Lord help us. There's so many things that we could talk about with relationships, but the one thing I would just say, let's stop trying to force relationships. Yes. And let's be sensitive. As one of my young mentors, she probably thinks she's mentee, but I really look at her as a mentor. I sat down with this young lady years ago, and she looked at me and she said, anytime you have to dim your light, First Lady, that's not your tribe. And as simple as that is, we have to really be conscious of that as women in today. If you have to dumb down who you are, if you have to hide who you are, if you can't celebrate what God has done for you because you think someone's jealous, that's not a friend. Right. The first thing I want to do when God's done something, and I'm sure you all too, is tell somebody who you love and who you care about. And it's not about me. Oh, I got this, brand new whatever. It's not even about that. It's just you want to celebrate with people who you think love you and care about you, a milestone. So I'm probably rambling at this point. I'm a hush. No, go ahead.
Listen, discernment. I want to stick this in right there. That what you're speaking of is really just discernment to understand who is around you. And I go back to something that my mom used to say all the time, that people can say one thing, but the spirit never lies. That is something that my mom said to me that I've kept with me. That people can say all kinds of things, but when you are praying the Holy Spirit will give you discernment about what that person is saying to you and about who that person is. And there have been, as you said, Lady Doris, there have been times in my life where I was trying to hold on to friendships because I am the type of person that I like to see the best in people, even if they are showing me otherwise. And I'm like, no, that's not right. She didn't mean it like that. That's not what she meant. And the Holy Spirit would be like, no, that is what she meant. That is how she meant it. And then I get myself in more hurt, more frustration, when the Holy Spirit was trying to tell me all along, this person is not for you. This person does not care. Get this person out of your life. Get this person out of your circle. And so then you become a victim to more of the hurt, more of the abuse, more of the whatever, because you don't have the strength to, in a very mature way, dissolve it or to say, you know what? I don't think that this is working out for either one of us. Let's just go ahead. And you made a statement, Lady Doris, which I do like, that you said that when you see something, say something, sometimes you go to that person. And there have been times in my life where I have had conversations with women multiple times. And so it comes to a point where you have to realize there's something lacking in your ability to understand what I'm saying. So I'm not going to keep having the same conversation with you over and over and over again because it's not resolving. It's just kind of going around and around in a circle. And sometimes you have to realize that people can only deal with you on their level of comprehension. And so, yes, while I may come to you, while I may have come to you multiple times, if I sense that you don't have the spirit to receive, if I have the sense, if I am discerning that you want to believe whatever, my brother said this to me. He said, Nakia, when people want to believe bad about you, they always wanted to believe bad about you. They were just waiting for the opportunity to do it. They always wanted to believe it about you. This is just an opportunity now for them to be like, oh yeah, that resonates. That's what I thought about her all the time. And so sometimes, again, I just think what you said, Lady Doris, is so profound. It is that discernment that is needed, even in friendships, to say, who is supposed to go with me? Who is my divinely connected? Who is supposed to be connected to me? Who is supposed to be connected to my destiny? Who's going to push me? Who's going to confront me? Who's going to comfort me? All of the things. Go ahead, Lady Javita.
I'm so blown away by this whole entire discussion because this is something I've been dealing with almost a year. And one thing that I realized, and excuse me, I know it sounds a little harsh on the vocals, I apologize. But one thing I realized is that when you have a falling out or your friend don't agree with something you may have said or may have done or whatever, and even after confrontation, right? Even after you talk about it, they plant. You said something very important, Lady Doris. Planting seeds. They go around, they plant seeds in other people's minds about you to get them to change their perspective of how other people look at you because other people may love you. They may love First Lady Doris and may, oh, I love her. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. I can talk to her in confidence. She's my advisor. She's my prayer warrior. But deep down inside, that said friend, you all had a disagreement or you say something that they don't agree with. The next thing you know, they'll go back and they're planting a seed to someone else. And then I started noticing other friends changing towards me. And I'm just like, well, what did I do? I'm like, well, okay, now I'm putting two and two together because of the association. So the seed was planted, the conversations were had about me when I'm not around. So now instead of you, and I know this is petty, but I'm gonna say this because this is the way the society is. You notice, for example, Kia, if you notice that I'm liking all your posts and everything that you post, I'm liking everything that you post. Oh, that's my girl. I'm supporting her. But then next thing you know, oh, she suddenly stopped liking all my stuff. But then she can send me a private message. She can inbox me, she can text me or send word by why is that? Because she's associated with this other friend that now suddenly don't like me, that suddenly has an issue with me. It's so petty how the way we think as women. It is horrible. And yes, I've heard people say, "Oh, girl, I got your back. I love you." And I do believe some of those people that have said that to me. "Oh, yeah, First Lady, I got your back." I've experienced friends changing towards me since I became a First Lady. And I'm like, "Ah, I'm still the same person. However, my platform may be just a little different, but I'm still the same Javita. But they like, oh, stop including me, stop inviting me, stop, texting. Now they have a separate group chat and I'm like, oh, you know what? Sometimes this road it gets lonely. It gets hard. And then you do step back and you think, okay, God, well, in your word, you said to put your trust in no man. So therefore, I'm okay because you are my friend. I have my best friend. And then some people would say that, oh, well, you have a husband, you have your best friend. Yes, you're right, I do. But men don't always understand what women go through. Okay? They don't always understand. However, and sometimes we just want that good girlfriend, that good Judy, that we could talk to and we could vent to and we can let our hair down and not be judged and not, or say, oh, well, I can't even tell her this because I don't trust her. I think she's going to go back and she's going to share it with this person or that person or that person, or she's going to judge me, or she's going to, if we haven't fallen out, it's going to come out. You know what I mean? So it's so hard sometimes to even, as Lady Doris said, in this season, it's hard to trust people or even some things trigger you, or I do have PTSD from friendship, from abused friendships. I was mistreated. I was mishandled. I was misunderstood. And then it's like, okay, now what do I do in this season of my life? Now that I'm a first lady, and it's like, oh, sometimes I just, girl, I just really just, hey, listen, it is not that serious. Just because you have a problem with this friend or that friend doesn't mean that I have the same problem with them. I am going to be loyal. I'm honest. Conversations will never be brought back up. I tell people this: what you share with me, it stays here. But again, some people don't believe in that because they've been hurt before. They have been betrayed. They have been talked about or abused or misused or mishandled. But you almost brought me to tears, Lady Doris, when you were speaking, because I had to sit back and really take myself into consideration. And when I say that, mentally, emotionally, and physically, just been dealing with some stuff physically because I allowed, me putting myself or putting my friends first or family first, not before God, of course, but just, hey, I'm there, I'll be there, I'll show up, no problem. I'll buy your t-shirt, I'll buy your book, I'll buy your jewelry, I'll be at your birthday party, I'll be at your retirement. I'm running myself raggedy and forgetting myself. So I have to take a step back. And then the moment you do that, people say, oh, she changed. She thinks she does because now she's a first lady. No, I've been abused. I've been mishandled. I've been, mistreated. And now I'm understanding what a true friend is. I've been that true friend, but you haven't been that true friend. You haven't been loyal. You haven't been supportive. You haven't been encouraging. You haven't been uplifting. Could I really call on you without you making an excuse? Could I? So I think this is a phenomenal discussion that probably needs part 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely needed because, like I said, I've in the realm of going through a divorce, I've talked to other women who have gone through a divorce, and it is something that comes up all the time about, going through a loss. And of course, you lose in the relationship dissolving, but it's also how many times women say, I thought I had people in my corner when I was going through this very difficult time, only to find out they're not in my corner for whatever reason. And I think as we, I shared this with Lady Doris. I said that something happened to me when I turned 40. And I was just like, I'm intolerant now. Like, I'm good.
Just wait till 50, boo. Just wait till 50.
Something happened when I turned 40, and I just was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, I'm not letting people feel entitled to my life that are not putting anything into the welfare or the health of me. You're not contributing anything, but you feel like I should be doing X, Y, and Z for you that makes you happy and makes you comfortable. I'm sorry, I can't do that anymore. But I do love you. Like, I love you from over there. And I mean it. And I think, in going through therapy, something that I learned is when you begin to heal, when you go through the healing process for whatever, divorce, losing a parent, what you go through as a first lady, that you understand that God will give you an awareness about certain situations. But something that my Aunt Erica, and I love her, she's been like one of my ride or dies. She's a real one, Lady Javita. She's a real one. I'm taking it back to Women's Day. She's a real one. Shout out to her. I thought I saw her on here earlier. But something that she shared with me that I saw God do for me was that he will give you compassion, even towards people that have hurt you. Because there have been situations and friendships and relationships where I was deeply hurt because I put this person in this place in my life. They probably didn't know that, but I knew that. Like, I put them on this quote unquote pedestal or whatever, this place in my life, only to find out, like I said earlier, they didn't have the capacity to fill that position, or even the fact that they just couldn't be that person to me. God wouldn't allow it. Sometimes God won't allow the people that we think we need. He won't allow them to be there for us. He won't allow them to love us the way we want them, because he wants us to know that your sufficiency is in me. It's not in them. And that's something that I had to learn. But God also gave me compassion for certain women. And he began to even show me things about them to say, they are hurt. They have brokenness in their life. And that's why they can't be for you what you need them to be. Now, that doesn't excuse their behavior. That doesn't mean I want to be in some sort of close fellowship or relationship with them. But it gives you a way to look at people through the eyes of God. And honestly, I think a lot of women are broken. They are broken from lots of different, from childhood traumas, from being in relationships with men that have hurt them. They have low self-esteem. They have insecurity. And instead of being honest and transparent and saying, I don't know how to help you because I'm hurt in this area. I don't know how to be there for you, Lady Doris, because I feel a certain way. Instead of being honest and transparent, we mask it as women. We mask it with insecurity. We mask it with competing with each other. We mask it with being bullies, and we mask it with, oh, you gonna say something, oh, I'm gonna say something back to you too. Like, we do all the things, and I've been guilty of that too. And the Holy Spirit has to convict me to say, why? If they believe whatever, let them. If they think whatever, let them. Something Bishop Green used to say is that the truth, you don't got to chase the truth. The truth is going to always come out. And so I stand on that. In the most sincere way, in the most genuine way, I let you believe whatever you want to believe. I let you think whatever you want to think, because I don't have time anymore. Time is of the essence. I'm gonna be 42 this year. I don't have time anymore to be trying to prove things to people. I don't have time anymore to try to make you be my friend. I need to make you like me. I need to make you love me. No. At the end of the day, God knows who we need. And I have found that out in the same way that you spoke about it, Lady Javid, in the same way you spoke about it, Lady Doris, in that it's okay to be stripped away of the things that are not necessary in my life. Because at the end of the day, God knows who's supposed to be in my life. He knows who's supposed to be here at this time in this season. And like you said, Lady Doris, I can appreciate the experiences. Every loss wasn't a loss if I learned. And if I learned in that experience, not so much, yes, maybe what that person did to hurt me, but Nikia, what part did you play? You know, that's when you become mature, when you can be accountable to say, you know what part did you play in this relationship dissolving? And then saying, okay, God, help me to be better. Help me to be a better friend. Help me to be a better sister. Help me to be a better daughter. Help me to be whatever your role is. And I think that's important as we grow and change and mature in God. Because when you really want to be healed, then God will show you yourself. Like, I have a problem with people where God is always showing you other people. He's never showing you. Like, he's not telling you what you're doing wrong. He didn't tell you how you hurt that person. He didn't tell you how what you said offended that person. And so it is something to say, you know what? I'm going to own my part. I'm going to own that I brought baggage. I'm going to own that I brought trauma. I'm going to own that I brought insecurity. I'm going to own that I brought whatever into this relationship. But I'm bringing that to God. I'm asking God to heal me, and then I can move on so that I can be better and not repeat that same behavior in the next relationship.
You said something that was that I was going to state earlier about having that relationship with God. To me, that is the key to any friendship, to any relationship, because when you do have that real relationship with God, He will teach you and show you how to be a good friend, to be a real friend, to accept forgiveness, to even apologize when you do wrong, and just move on and not hold on to the things of the past. And yes, some people are just seasonal friends. Some people are just meant to be there for a season. And once that season is done, that doesn't mean that you allow bitterness or hate or jealousy or envy to come into your life. Because if you know, I will say this, my parents used to always tell me, when you know to do right, do right. And when you know you're right, move on. So therefore, you should be able to face those said friends or former friends or ex-friends. You should be able to speak to them when you see them. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Or God bless you. You're looking well, or something, not just, I got an issue with them. I got a problem with them. To me, it just means that you're not happy with yourself, or you know what I mean? Like, I would hate to just wake up and God allowed me to see another day, right? And I say, I love God. Lord, I love you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. You let me live to see another day. And then next thing you know, you see someone of your past that, yes, hurt is hurt. I understand. We've been hurt. It's hard to sometimes let go of hurt, but you still got to love them. And love is an action word. And that's why that's one of the greatest commandments that God left for us to do. Hey, you got to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so as Black women, as minority women, as women in general, first of all, we already have it hard enough in this world. It is so hard for us to come together, but we're so powerful. Once we get on one accord and once we really truly be friends and just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to forgive. I'm not going to let my sister go down like that. I'm not going to let her go down like that. I don't want to give people anything to talk about because, miserable people like company, right? People like drama. They like mess. I ain't giving that to them. So guess what? As long as I know I don't have nothing in my heart, if I ask for forgiveness or if I've apologized, I'm able to move on. I can face you. I can look you in your face. I can hug you. I can shake your hand. We can be cordial. We don't necessarily have to be close like we used to be, But at the end of the day, yes, you have to protect your peace. And what comes with peace is by you doing your part, by you just, do your part, know that you're right, and go on. And another thing, Lady Darice, you stated earlier how it's hard for people to celebrate you, or your friends to celebrate you, right? And my husband and I both have experienced that terribly. And it's so sad. It is so, so, so sad that we had, and I'm transparent, we have a testimony. God knows we have a testimony. We were married at 21, got pregnant right away. My husband didn't waste no time. So we got pregnant right away. He was got deployed after our daughter was 7 months old, deployed in Iraq for 14 months, came back, and it was tough. Okay, it was tough. We were young parents. It was really, really tough. Long story short, very long story short, we struggled. We had to go through some financial problems and struggles and obstacles, ups and downs. My husband never quit. He never gave up. He kept pushing forward, pursuing his goals. Well, God blessed his business. Blessed his business. He became an entrepreneur in 2008. And things started happening. Fast forward, we bought our first home at the age of 27 years old. Instead of friends or family being proud and happy for us, it was like you could feel the jealousy. You could feel like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do this because they did that. Or anything they can do, I'm going to do better mentality, And it's like, hey, this is not, you have no idea. We went from a 1-bedroom apartment, got evicted from it. We had cars repossessed. Hey, to now God has blessed. We worked hard for it. And as some people say, oh, you came up, you glowed up. Yeah, well, we worked hard for it. It's a testimony. I have nothing to hide. This is strictly a testimony. Fast forward, we stayed in the house for over 15 years. Yeah, about over 15 years. And we still have the home. Hey, we wanted to upgrade. My husband wanted to bless me and buy me a luxury car. And it's terrible that I couldn't even share like I wanted to, share my testimony of how we've lost cars, we've got evicted, and now you see this side of how we're living, and then you're being judgmental. Or you're saying, oh, there she goes, she thinks she that, or they think that. No. Why is it that we can get on social media and we can like the post of these celebrities, of their houses, their cars, their labels? None of that stuff matters to us. Trust me, we don't care about those things. But God wants us to have the best. We are his children. He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Why can't we have these things? And why can't we celebrate each other when we do get those things, or we accomplish those goals, or get a master's degree, our doctorate degree, or we start a business? No, but then we'll celebrate people that don't even know us. We'll celebrate people that will never meet us. We will celebrate people that will never know our names. But here it is, somebody in your own backyard, your own friend, that you say is your friend, and you can't be there for them. You can't be supportive. You're being judgmental, or you're talking about them, or they think. You have no idea of what I'm thinking. You have no idea what I've been through. If you took a moment to sit down and get to know me, sit down and learn my testimony, what the struggles my husband and I had to deal with and what we had to go through, then you will appreciate it. Then you will understand that we have always been a loyal friend to you. We've put people on, they've turned their backs, talked about us, laughed at us. We've been there for people, you know what I mean? So when we talk about true friendships, it starts with your foundation, which is God, having that real relationship with God, having that real connection with God, because he sent his only son, Jesus, to die on the cross, who did no sin, who did no wrong, but he was what? Betrayed, by some of his close followers. So who are we to say we can't go through? We're going to have to go through. It hurts. It really hurts. But at the end of the day, know that you're right. You in your heart. You've asked for forgiveness. You've apologized. You've accepted the forgiveness. And then using wisdom. Know who to allow in this season of your life. Because everybody can go where God is going to take you. Everybody can go with you. And it's unfortunate because you want everybody to, hey, come on, listen, come on. We got to go together. We're in this together. You can't take everybody with you. And then some people you're just going to have to leave behind. Sadly, as Lady Doris said before we logged on, you have to divorce some friendships. I don't want to divorce friendships. I don't like hurting people. I don't. I never do. Not intentionally. I don't, but I have to listen to the voice of God. And when God tells me, Javita, you got to move, you got to move. If he tells me, hey, nope, because this person didn't mean any good to you. What came out of this friendship? What came out of that relationship? What came out of it? You were there for them, but were they really there for you? Okay.
That's good. God dropped a revelation on me, and I wanted to just share it if I can share it. I wrote it down, but like you, I like nice things, and like you, we've been through a lot. God has truly favored us, and all of that we have, it was nothing but God and just the wisdom of God that led us to be who we are and have what we have. But I wanted to share this because we probably have a lot of women watching and listening, and God dropped this on me because for too long I've allowed people who should not have had access to me to be able to access what I have. And I've been to Paris a couple of times. The last time I was in Paris, I really wanted an Hermes bag. And for those who are into designer, the thing that really dropped in my spirit and God began to he takes real life examples with me and shows me in a spiritual way how I need to either craft myself more like that. But here's the gist of what happens. If you want an Hermes bag, you can't just walk in the store and buy the bag. So I got to Paris and was like, I want an Hermes bag. And no, I was not getting a Birkin. I would never spend that much for a bag, but I wanted an Hermes bag. And for those that don't know, they're about 75% cheaper in Paris than they are here. So got to the Hermes store and they let me in, but they told me I could not buy a bag. So I went in and bought like a bracelet, bought some little items. And then after I bought them, thought, well, surely now they'll let me perhaps look at the bag. Well, no, the lady was like, no, you can't even look at the bag. Like you can't even see the inventory of what we have to offer. We will not even talk to you about the bag. Okay. So then I'm getting a little hot. I'm like, no, wait a minute. Like, what's up? But one of the things that dropped on me is that you can't even get the Birkin bag unless you have a buying record with them. And God said this to me. They're looking to see if you're worthy and if you know the true value of what they are offering. And so that for only through your buying history are they going to allow you to buy what they are best known for, which is a Birkin bag. And I think Birkin started about 15,000 up. So God began to deal with me and said, okay, why do women of God, why do we allow people to come in relationship, close proximity in our circles, be so closely aligned with us? They don't know your value. They have not invested anything in your history, as Lady J said. So we got people who, for whatever reason, think that we think we've arrived, not knowing the true story of what it took to get here. And so with that, I began to just think about instilling. I know this was one of the things Kia wanted us to hit on, and I know we've been on here a long time, but I wanted to be sure that even with my daughters, instilling in my daughters what our true value is. What is our true value? Because oftentimes we don't even know it. And, you know, it took me to 50 years old to begin to look back and say, okay, why were you so loyal why did you feel the need to be so loyal? Here I am, a woman of God. Here I am, a first lady. Here I am, should be in the know with all the scriptures I've heard in all the years. Why would I diminish my value to even allow myself to be in certain situations, to even be entangled with certain people, and not to think that I'm better than anyone? But God just began to deal with me about, you couldn't even look at the bag. They weren't even going to show you a bag. You were not worthy to even buy a bag. They're not even letting you in the room where the bags are. And what would happen if we had that sort of tenacity as women of God to be like, wait a minute, God has done so much for me. I can't even tell it all. You don't know what it took for me to get to where I am. You don't know the tears that I've shed. You don't know the backstabbing and the betrayal that I've had to come through. You don't know the payrolls that me and my husband paid only for people to still leave the ministry. You don't know the mortgages we've paid. You don't know the people who came to us in their darkest hours, and we stood with them even when we were in a dark hour. But we were intentional that, no, if God be for us, who can be against us? And with God, all things are possible. And so when you begin to really think about what is our value, what has God said about us, that we're more precious than rubies, and I think that's so important for us, even as women of God. When the word talks about dying daily, and I'm not trying to preach, I'm just trying to leave this last nugget because God shared this with me. There's certain people who should not even, we can be cordial, we can be nice, but there's certain people that until they are vested should not even have access. And even with my daughters, and even in male relationships, baby, my husband told the twins not too long ago, we handling a Rolls Royce. Me and your mother are building something. We've put too much in.
Yeah.
Just allow anybody to roll up here and take advantage who's not vested and who doesn't even understand the value of what you have in you and what you represent. And so I think it's very important for us to just be more conscious of our value. And it's not, I think that as women, sometimes we're taught to think less of ourselves. Oh, well, who do you, like Lady Javita said, well, who do you think you are? Well, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm the head and not the tail. Let's speak the word to them if they say that, because truly God wants us to have a holy boldness where we don't take down, because who we are around and who is around us does affect us. As much as, we may think, oh, well, for me, my last point, let me try to be this person's example. Let me be the positive role model. Let me be the person you can call on. Let me be the person when you're sick, I'm, there. When somebody dies, we have to be so conscious. I heard someone, I think it might have been Sarita Jakes Roberts, or Sarah, maybe I'm getting the names confused, but I think she was the one who talked about our value and how important it is. And I'll say it like this: look at who wants more for us. Who wants more for us, but isn't trying to take from us. That's important. And of course, seasons change. Sometimes you're the one pouring and somebody else is receiving. But when you're always pouring, and when what you're pouring is not valued, we have to really just be conscious. And it takes a village. And I just say this, I thank God for this platform. I know we've been on kind of long, but hopefully somebody listening has been impacted somehow to just recalibrate as women of God, and recalibrate ourselves to think that we can do all things, but we don't have to take down who we are to fit in or to be accommodating to people who really don't have our best interests at heart. That's not true friendship. That's not true relationship. You have a true friend when they are there in your darkest hour. When you have no money and they there, and when you have money, they there. When you have no money and they're splitting a sandwich with you or saying, what can I do? That's true friendship. And so I don't know if you're going to have me ask me more questions, but I just wanted to end with that. I so appreciate this time. It's been very fruitful for me. And I'll put this plug in. One of the reasons I started First Ladies Rock is because I had such bad experiences, even with women in the church, that I felt like we needed a core of women who were like-minded, who could pull on each other in a safe space, where there was no competition. There was no, oh Lord, did you hear what she said? And so I share that because I think all of us need that safe place. We all need that circle, but please use wisdom in this hour, because every place is not safe. And just be very prayerful and, like Kia said, very discerning as to who you can trust, because just like Jesus, there's always a Judas in the camp.
Yes, I love how you've wrapped this up, Lady Doris, and I love how even the three of us, I'm not a first lady, but I love how so many of our, don't do that. I love how so many of our life experiences and our stories are just so similar. And even when I talked to Lady Doris, maybe 3 weeks ago, it was like the stuff that we were talking about and the nuggets that she was dropping, it was like, oh my God, I've gone through that too. Oh my God, I've gone through that. And it's just, I just believe that God knows what you need when you need it, and he will bring those people in your life when it is the right time and when you are able to receive them. Something that she said that God really did for me, and like I said, it's like when I turned 40, it was really this understanding and this awakening of you are valuable and you have something to offer to the right people. And I have the right people that can see your value, can appreciate your value, and you will pour into them and they will pour into you. For too long, I can speak for myself. I even shared on First Women's Day at Lady Javita's church that there was a long period of my life where, like Lady Doris said, turning down my light, dumbing down myself, having women say, oh, you think you better than whatever. And so then I would try to dumb myself down so that they wouldn't think that about me, instead of just embracing my authenticity, embracing my individuality. And so I just think in this season as women that we first have to have confidence in ourselves and confidence in who God created us to be. And when you are confident in yourself, then you don't have to put down another woman. When you are confident in yourself, then you don't have to be insecure or compete with other women. You dropped some nuggets, Lady Doris. My last thing I was going to end with is, the one thing that we all share is that we all have 2 daughters. And, when I turned 40, like I said, going through therapy and spiritual healing and natural healing, something that God really impressed upon me was to have these conversations with my daughters, especially my oldest daughter, because there are things that she has witnessed and experienced. And I saw those things shifting her personality and really helping her to understand that you are worthy, that you are valuable. And guess what? It is a privilege for someone to be your friend. Like, we're not out here walking around like, oh, I'm hard up. Let me try to be somebody else to fit into this group, have peer pressure. But you have something to offer. You're valuable. You are worthy. And like we said earlier, relationships are reciprocal. That's with anybody. That's friends, that's family, that's anybody. It's reciprocal. If you're doing more than they are doing, then you're not in a relationship. I don't care what they say. They can say they love you from now until Jesus come back. It has to be action. And that's something that I really instilling into my daughter, that people can say a lot of things, but if there is no action to back it up, their words are null and void. I know, Lady Doris, you drop some nuggets. Lady Javita, what kind of nuggets? I mean, as we are as women of God and we're raising the next generation of women, what things can you say that maybe you've dropped for your daughters and even for those who are listening tonight?
I've always told my girls to always be a good friend. Like I would ask Janae. Sorry, Janae, I called you out. My bad. My oldest daughter. And I would ask her, say, hey, have you talked to such and such? Have you heard from such and such? Oh, no, ma'am. That's not what we do. I said, contact her, contact them, see how they're doing. You never know what someone may be dealing with. I know you probably may be dealing with something, but you never know what they may be going through. And so, because she is now in her 20s, and she's 20 rather, and she's a young adult. What I've always taught my girls, or my children, period, you have to be a good friend, because at the end of the day, anything can happen to me and your father. Everybody needs somebody. I don't care. Everyone needs someone, and people will always remember how you treated them, regardless of how bad they want you to mistreat them or how bad they want to not like you. They're still going to remember, oh, well, she wasn't that bad at all. She was a good friend. The problem is we will remember the bad before we will remember all the good that someone has done. And we will hold on to the bad and look past the good. And then that, to me, hey, that's just dumb. If I could loosely say that, that's just ignorant, on our part. But if we really value our friendships, I tell my daughters, hey, check on them. You don't never know what they may be going through. Just to say, hey, oh, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Hope all is well. And I'll speak for myself. I have done it. But again, in my season of hearing the voice of the Lord, hey, you got to take care of yourself. It is time for you to look out for you, Javita. Just going through some health challenges. Hey, it has a toll on me. And I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. My husband has told me, don't allow people to take up your head space because of how they treat you. Everyone knows I have a good heart. I do, because I love God. And he wants us to love people. He wants us to treat people right. Hey, we want to see him in peace. We got to do those things, right? But then he also wants us to take care of us. And so how can I love my neighbors? I love myself if I'm not taking care of myself. So I just encourage everyone to be that good friend. Oh, I do want to say this. I'm gonna use you, Kia, as an example. For example, me and you, we can go without talking to each other for 2 months, let's just say. The moment we reconnect, it's like we just picked up right where we left off, because that's a good friend. I could go months without speaking to a friend, not necessarily saying that I'm not praying for them, not necessarily saying I'm not thinking about them or I'm not wishing them well, but I know the intention. Hey, that's my girl. That's my sis. We can just pick up right where we left off. But then some people, they'll hold on because the immaturity, because they didn't really value their friendships, or they're not a good friend, or maybe they haven't been praying for you. But I ain't heard from you. But did you reach out to them? Do you know what's going on with them? So I do just want to give a shout out real quick to my New Flame women that are online. They are so supportive, Sister Kia. They love you so much. We enjoyed you, our Women's Day service at New Flame. So thank you, ladies, for joining online. But I truly appreciate this platform. And I think that if we did like a in-person formal a platform, a session or something where you could hear from so many other women perspectives, because we all go through different things, but also the same thing. We're all dealing with things, and hey, we all just got to learn from each other, accept it, apply it, and move on. And move on. But Lady Doris, I really enjoyed you so much. With your daughters, I've watched you and your family, and I just love how you and your husband both are raising your beautiful young queens to be. And I've learned something tonight. I've learned a lot tonight, and that I will definitely use and reapply to myself. And hey, go back and I will reevaluate also again. Again, I'm not perfect at all, but I will take those extra steps and extra measures, but I'll also protect myself. I gotta protect. I'm sorry, I gotta protect myself because I don't want to get hurt no more. I don't like getting hurt. But I'm going to go back and take. Hey, if I need to take accountability for some things I may have said, may have done, I will. I will do so. And I think we have pride sometimes. Women, we have pride, and we don't know how to put our pride to the side, or we just think too highly of ourselves that we can't come down off our high horse and say, hey, you know what? It ain't even that serious. Because what if something happened to that friend? What if something happened, to that person that you didn't get a chance to get it right with? You're going to have regrets. I don't want any of us to have any regrets. So that's my little nugget spill for the night. I appreciate you again. Love y'all, my girls.
Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much for being on tonight. This has been so good. So many nuggets were dropped. If you came in late, if you didn't hear the whole broadcast, I would encourage you to go back to the beginning. So many nuggets were dropped. I appreciate everyone. We were a little lengthy tonight, but I do believe that it was worth it because there were some things that needed to be said, and hopefully there is something that you took away from this conversation. I appreciate my sisters coming on with me tonight. They had no hesitation when I asked them, and it was just confirmation tonight on that you all were who was supposed to be on to speak to this very sensitive and important topic. I'm going to ask my big sister, Lady Doris, to close us out with any final thoughts or remarks. I appreciate everybody for coming on, for sharing, for liking, for tagging, for watching. Until the next time, I appreciate you all.
I just appreciate this opportunity and just pray that all the women who are watching or shall watch will be blessed, and even share some of the nuggets that we've talked about. And even, I don't know if they can they inbox us nuggets, things that they've learned? I would love to just put together a compilation of lessons that we've learned, because it's so important for us to just be able to share through our experiences. And again, none of us are perfect. Let us seek first and foremost to get it right, so that when we stand before God, he will say, well done. Because so often we're so concerned about the relationships here, not understanding that all of this is just temporal. It's not eternal. And so we are building ourselves, hopefully, for eternal resting place, which is what I constantly preach to my kids. And I know they're tired of me saying it, but I tell them everything here is temporal. And so you got to do what's right here. And God knows our hearts, as Lady J said. It's important that we stay true to ourselves and to God first and foremost. And whenever you feel like you're making someone the God, for me, I'm talking about myself, when you're putting more into some person than you would put in your time with the Lord, then it's time to recalibrate and readjust. That's definitely one of the signs that we have to pay attention to. We're more concerned about how flesh feels about us than what God thinks and feels about us. So thank you, Lady J, for this space together. I know that God has great things in store for your ministry, and I too admire you all. And I'm just a text, phone call, and you have my address for the popcorn away.
Love you, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Blessings.